There we go. Okay. Now the audio is working. It was, I guess, reading through the microphone on my computer because I forgot to plug in the microphone on my microphone. Yeah. Hello. Um, Good evening. It's 7:20. Sorry I'm a little bit late, but I had things I needed to get done and kind of had to figure out what I was going to do today. Um, I'm Ben Repaints. For those who don't know, I'm a small-time mini painter who does a little bit of commission work, but right now is just kind of painting for fun. Um, Tonight is going to be pretty straightforward. I'm going to be finishing up some gnomes that I started for a friend's Blood Bowl team for their birthday, and then I'm probably going to start painting some Captain Marvel if and when I get to it. Because I have another Marvel commission that I need to do. So I'm going to go ahead and get started on that. And to do so, we're going to get rid of the starting soon because that, whoop, wrong one, because that is no longer the case. And as stated previously, I love this little picture. It was created by Dark Volt, who is a fan of the show, and they do great art of my character. He also did my little Vipo over in the corner. So that's just going to go down there, and we're going to go ahead and main camera turn on, and hopefully that'll work. So let's see. Yep, that's going to be a good place to go right here. So what I've done for the most part is I've kind of given them a lot of a base to work off of, and from there I'm going to be working up to some of the more highlights on these guys. And additionally, when I got a little bit lazy, since I got like the major part of the gift out of the way and painted, I kind of used a lot of speed paints to see if I could accelerate the process a bit. And that seems to have worked to an acceptable level. They might get repainted as I decide to make colors more vibrant. But right now, they're kind of in a place where I'm happy with them. So we've got our guys looking like this. And again, not perfect by any means, but definitely looking pretty okay. So we're just going to continue working on these guys, adding more detail to them to hopefully make them look really good by the end of this, because this is all a gift for a friend. So the trim, I mean, I think the shoulder pads, the pauldrons were meant to be more of a wooden thing, but I thought giving them some metal would make them look a little more interesting, so that's what I went with there. But yeah, all I'm going to do is paint in trim a little bit, hit those leaves, and then move on eventually to doing the faces, because if there's anything that is really cool about these Blood Bowl gnomes, it is that they have some of the most expressive gnome faces you've probably ever seen. I think they're neat, and they make me happy. So I'm just going to continue working across these guys to give them interesting faces to look at in terms of the color palette. So right now, just kind of doing little baby touch-up work, hitting the leaves where they need to be hit, and then I'll go ahead and move on to something that requires a little bit more finesse on my part. Now, obviously, the leaves are going to be a little bit brighter colored than everything else, and that's fine, because I am eventually going to work up to brighter colors. As you can probably tell, they're pretty muted right now, which wasn't the intent at the time, but I just decided to block in everything, so I had kind of a rough idea of what they were going to look like when they were finished, as opposed to slowly filling them in. And honestly, it helped me on at least a mental level, because it gave me inspiration to finish them and touch them up. Because one of the things that I tend to get stuck on, unfortunately, is how good or bad it looks. And when the rest of the palette is pure, kind of just grayscale, it does kind of make it hard to stay motivated, continue painting them when only one part looks okay. At least for some models. Something else you might notice is there are a lot of spots on here that are still kind of white and unfinished. That's because the initial speed painting was just a block coat. I'm going to go back with more traditional acrylic paints and touch all that up. So yeah, there we go. I gotta say though, Games Workshop absolutely killed it with these models. Honestly, they're some of my favorites that Games Workshop has made. They're all so fun and interesting and entertaining to look at. They did exactly what you would want to do with a set of gnomes if you were going to make a football team. So I'm really jazzed that I was able to find these. I'm really jazzed that I was able to put them together. I get to paint them. Beyond that, it's just a matter of finishing them up. I did one of them using the traditional methods. Oh, forgot to do that metallic. I did one of these using traditional methods. I just kind of painted it using nothing but acrylics, so no washes, or not no washes, no speed paints of that like. And he turned out really good. And I did them in the style of Dave the Gnome because that's what was specifically requested of me by the person who eventually received him as a gift. And I also tried to make him look as close to the recipient as possible because it like checked all the boxes. My buddy's into ducks and geese and the like, and there was a goose on the mini itself. It was actually a Beastmaster gnome like this guy, but instead of having the angry badger on the back, it had an angry goose, so it worked out. You know, I gave him red beard because my friend has red beard. He had a pipe because my friend smokes a pipe, so it worked out real nice. And I'm using Pro Acryl, if anyone's curious how I'm getting these incredibly vibrant colors. Pro Acryl does a really good job of making colors that really pop off the model. And between that and just the whole painting on white, it's making everything honestly a little unnaturally bright. But for the sake of these models, it's working really well. I'm pretty sure I just use Pro Acryl. Yeah, this is just Pro Acryl green. This is just their standard green. So I say this pretty much every time I start, but if you are looking for a paint line that will make your models incredibly vibrant and bright, I cannot recommend Pro Acryl enough. I've really liked their paints as I've been using them. On like every level, they've been fantastic. Okay, yeah, some of this still needs to be painted over again. That's fine. I'll eventually go back over that footy ball a little later. Oh, here's the other. I guess she's an enchantress. I forgot exactly what they call her on the box. And I think the next thing after this I'll need to do, at least according to some of the individuals that were kind enough to give me a little bit of a primer on Blood Bowl, is I'll need to print out some tree men. Because apparently the gnome team needs at least 2 tree men to be able to do anything. And also, I'm kind of like, what color should I paint her hair? Because the other one I did, you saw, was kind of a tawny blonde. So I'm not sure what to do with this one. Maybe just a standard brown. Should work okay. Let's see. This guy. I love this guy. This is such a stereotypically gnomish pose, you know what I mean? The big over-exaggerated foot forward. The purposeful stride. It feels gnome. And I really dig that. I love the personality they managed to get from these guys, given how tiny they actually are. And for those who can't see or don't know, these are exceptionally tiny models. Thumbnail for scale. They're very small. They're almost as small as the... Oh, I forgot to paint his glove. They're almost as small as the goblin that I painted a couple months ago. I've got another one lined up for that. I just haven't had time to sit down and really give that one a fair crack. Because I've either been working on personal projects or I've been working on commission work. So hopefully I'll have a chance to do something fun with that soon. Okay, this guy's done. I do kind of love that, and I think I talked about this last time, that all of these guys have like a little punch dagger. Because it just reminds you that even though they are playing some kind of form of football, the violence has been escalated. So even though these gnomes are clearly very cute and silly, there is still a sense of menace behind them when they've got a way to stab you under the knee. You know what I mean? So that's just fantastic. Okay. Now, I don't know if any of you out there enjoy painting armies. It's kind of become something I've enjoyed in diminishing amounts since I started getting really into the painting part, but honestly, the assembly line painting does work. It can feel a little bit monotonous because you're kind of painting the same details over and over again, but in terms of getting them done quickly, it does work. So my best recommendation to you is find a good video on YouTube, listen to a good audiobook or some good focusing music, and just really get to kind of like a rhythm, because that's what's helping me with this stuff. Because I'm just kind of in like a pretty lockstep rhythm while trying to get all this stuff painted. Now, honestly, I did make a mistake with these, and I kind of wish I could go back with it, but I figured for some reason that I should go ahead and put the tufted grass down first, and then put the guys on there. But you can see how that's creating an issue, because he's got this little disc, which is supposed to be the part that he's planted on, but it's above the grass now, and it looks really obvious. So if I were to go back, I would go ahead and not do that. I strongly recommend that you do some dry fitting to see exactly how things look before you try and get everything set up. It will improve your model substantially if you do that. I also, in my rush to get these guys assembled, because I panicked about getting them done in time for my friend's birthday, forgot to put down any texture paste, because it definitely changes the look of the base when there's a layer of texture paste underneath the grass tufts. It makes it look a lot more natural. So, oops on my part. But he did see them, and he really liked them, so I can't be too mad at myself for them. But then again, I also think he wasn't expecting to get that. When I told him that it's his, he just kind of was a little bit surprised and taken off guard, because he knew I purchased them and thought I was just kind of painting them for myself in a style that he liked. So I'm glad I was able to surprise him in that way. My hope is that I can eventually make like a diorama that he can put all these guys on, so he can have a nice little display if we never actually get around to playing Blood Bowl, even though that is the end goal. For any of you out there who has played Blood Bowl, what are your feelings on it? Because I know it's not as popular a game as, say, 40K or Age of Sigmar. It's kind of falling off to the side, but it fascinates the shit out of me, because of the idea of them creating a turn-based board game based around some ultra-violent form of American football. That's silly, and I want in. It clearly has like all of the fun Warhammer fantasy stuff going on, which just makes it better. Oh man, there's more green. That's okay, I'll get it later. So I'm just like, I gotta find out about this. Also, just look at these little ball carriers. Aren't they great? I love them. I especially love the fox. It makes me very happy. I'm probably going to go back and dry brush them a different color to give them a little more variety, because that monotone semi-orange isn't really doing them any favors. So now this is just a matter of taking a different, brighter brown and trying to create some highlights against the much darker, in most cases, speed paint that I did use. So hopefully this will kind of draw a little bit more color out, and then when I hit them with the final highlight, it'll really allow it to pop, because I'm going to be mixing in a different color with it to really help these guys stand out a bit. And honestly, just as a little bit of tweaking, I think I'm going to hit his eyebrows a little bit too, because unfortunately those got kind of caught up with the hat I was working on. Yeah, I'm probably going to have to go back over this with a brown wash anyway, so let's make sure it all looks pretty decent. Also, I don't know about you guys, but I love the beards on these guys. I think the beards are incredible, and they make me very happy. And I think part of that is because I really can't grow facial hair, so I'm like enamored by it when I do see it. And these gnomes just look fantastic. The facial hair on them is peak. I mean, you can see even with just a little bit of speed paint, it ends up looking really good because of how well textured it is. It definitely sells, you know, the gnomish aspect of them very well. Kind of see spots that I didn't hit super well. They still have their dark blue undertone on them. Because before I made my executive decision to just finish one and give it to him as a gift, my original plan was to try and finish all of them. So, hey, Sindarius, how's it going? I put them together in kind of a hurry, and then I started slapping on a base in kind of a hurry for these guys, until I realized that sounds insane, and I should probably just do one or two of them really well, and then get back to painting the rest of them to finish off the gift. So that's kind of what I'm doing now, is finishing the gift, and trying to get these guys painted up for them. Tired and your feet hurt. I'm sorry to hear that. Hopefully it's nothing too bad. I remember a while ago you told me that what your job was, I'm pretty sure, and unfortunately I'm drawing a blank. So if you'd like to remind me, I can sympathize with you. When I was a school teacher, I didn't like sitting down. Being a cook, that's right. Yeah, I can understand that. Being on your feet all day and having to run around and make sure everything's done right, that's intense work. There's a company, a shoe company that I bought that I'm a pretty big fan of normally. And I bought a pair of shoes from them that were supposedly endorsed, sponsored by a line cook, a famous one, a chef of some kind. And it was like, they're supposed to be durable, they're supposed to work really well and keep you comfortable. And they were incredibly comfortable for the month that I had them, which is obviously not a good start to that story. But then the sole just kind of completely separated from the rest of the shoe on one of the feet. And it's like, well, I'm not happy I spent as much money as I did on these, even though they were on sale. The fact that they were on sale probably should have been a tell for me, shouldn't they? Was at work for like 9 hours and had a half-hour walk here and back. Forgot to grab my tennis shoes for like half a week. Ugh. That is an incredible amount of foot stress that I'm sorry you've had to go through. And I mean, something I've had to convince myself of when I purchase footwear is that, you know, you only got one pair of feet. And unfortunately, if you don't treat them well, they will let you know. So I've tried to be better about getting shoes that I know will be good for me. So yeah, I'm sorry you had to deal with that. At least you're home. Do you soak your feet at all? I had a partner many years ago who also had like, she had super sensitive feet and would come home exhausted from her day job. And she used to soak her feet, not every night, but pretty regularly in like Epsom salt, try and mitigate that kind of agony. And I think it worked okay for her. Okay. Just trying to get these guys highlighted down, or not highlighted down, blocked down so that I have something to work off of when I start working on highlights. Because a lot of them are just kind of very sloppily, here's paint, let's throw it on, in terms of the paint job. So hopefully by going back over them, cleaning up any low spots or light spots, and eventually going back through and hitting them with a highlight, I can really vastly improve the overall look of these models. There's a detail that I completely forgot about. So that should be good. Gosh, looks like I had no idea what I was doing on that shoulder. That should be a blue of some kind, so I'm probably gonna have to go back and hit that with blue. And I completely forgot about the glove on this hand, so I'll just hit that right now. Then go back and highlight it. You don't soak your feet? Yeah, that's understandable. It's a lot of effort to do that. Like I said, it seemed to help her, so if that's something you ever want to pick up, I can strongly recommend it. I think when I was at my most physically active, I was soaking my feet. Because again, I had that strong mantra of you only have one pair. So between buying expensive shoes to mitigate all of the running and jumping and whatnot I was doing for boxing, I also started soaking my feet more often. This guy's like Michael Jackson, but murder. Hey Snow Twig, how's it going? Thank you for popping in, even though it's probably like ridiculously dark and late for you. I hope you have a good evening, and I hope you get good sleep. I'm kind of just going back and touching up these guys, and then I'm going to hit them with some highlights, and then I can call them done. And then I have all these extra little bits and bobs I got to do. You just know participating in War Thunders April 1st. Oh my goodness. Yeah, these are gnomes. These are for a Blood Bowl team. And I started working on them Thursday because I originally bought them to be a birthday gift for a friend, and I had this plan of doing like a super detailed, super well painted like display level for them and getting them on a display base and doing all sorts of stuff. And then I realized that it was his birthday, and I freaked out because they were still in the box. So I rapidly assembled them and slapped as much paint as I could on them as possible before realizing maybe I should just do like one for his birthday, kind of as like a preview for what these will all look like, and then go back and hit the rest of them without all of that stress involved. And so that's kind of where I am now. I'm just kind of going back and cleaning them up, hitting them over with a fresh coat of much more intentional paint, and eventually they'll all be done, and you'll have a really cool Blood Bowl team. So yep, that's the plan that I'm working on right now. Okay. Oh yeah, I forgot. Something I keep forgetting about is all these gnomes have like stitching on the back of their cap. And it's not really a big deal, but it is a detail I would like to highlight, so I should probably actually go back and hit the rest of them. And yeah, I'm gonna have to completely redo that beard. I originally just did it with like a white Passover with a black speed paint, very thinly layered, but the beard is splotchy as sin and doesn't look that great, so that's gonna have to get redone. That's okay. This guy can go here. I'll pick this one up. Okay. And just so I don't forget again, I'm going to go ahead and hit the stitching on the back of their hat. And that way I can make sure that when I go back, I can make the stitching look even better. Right now, this is just a standard. I think this is dark umber, because I really like kind of the deep brown that the dark umber gives off. So that's been my default brown for a long time. And it does tend to mute the colors quite a bit, but in a way that I appreciate and enjoy. So that's where this is coming in. I believe that their standard brown, Pro Acryl standard brown, is considerably brighter. So if you ever decide to get Pro Acryl and you want something more vibrant than this dark umber, their standard brown should be pretty darn good. I actually don't think this is meant to be a separate sleeve. Like, I think this is just part of the jacket. But I can't really tell, so in this case, it's going to be a separate sleeve. Okay, yeah, and his beard is looking kind of ratty, so I'm just going to go back through entirely and paint the beard with this brown. And then I'll go back and highlight it as well. Try and give it a little different texture. So how have you guys been? How are things going for you? Hopefully well. I know that Sindarius has had a long day, and they're enjoying some relaxation time, which is great. But yeah. How are you doing, Snow Twig? Hopefully you've had a pretty good day, a pretty good week. I'm pretty darn excited that I'm able to stream on Tuesday again because while the coworker who's been absent still hasn't come back, I wasn't expected to go out there at 7 a.m. And do my rounds. I was able to go out a little later. So I was able to wake up at a normal human being time for me. And I'm not too exhausted to do this. There we go. His eyebrows are pushing past his hat. That's very funny. And as well, trying to put all of this to make it look as good or as possible. Back end, clean up any of that. Nope, that looks fantastic. The skin's a whole nother story. I'm gonna have to completely redo the skin, but that's fine. Okay, same thing on this guy. We've got these little stitches on the back that are gonna be really nice looking once I get some actual brighter color on them. And now that's where they are. I'm gonna re-hit some of this stuff to try and clean it up a bit. But yeah, I'm pretty excited to try out Blood Bowl. Once this is done and once I can get that the tree men printed out, we should be able to play a game or two. And I downloaded Blood Bowl 3 on Steam, but I haven't really played much other than the tutorial. So I'm kind of in like that position of beyond the tutorial. First of all, is many steps. It feels like there's a lot more to the game than I initially thought, which shouldn't surprise me because football's already a complex game, and trying to gamify it further into a board game is like, that seems a bit much because I'm doing like an abstraction of an abstraction, if you know what I mean. So hopefully I can figure out Blood Bowl and get to a point where playing it isn't going to require too much mental, yeah, that's the word. That's a good sign of my ability to retain Blood Bowl knowledge. And yeah, hopefully through that I'll be able to play, learn, and help my friend play and learn. I really love these models. I don't know if you guys do, how you feel about them, but these are some fantastic models. They make me very happy. What doesn't make me happy is noticing that my hands are kind of covering the captions. You know what? I think I need to find a new place for them. This is a weird place to put them, but now they're up here. That way, this is visible. This is good. I'll get my my overlay figured out someday. Something I did learn is that there is a 3D sculpting tool on the iPad, and they have a decent tutorial at the beginning for learning how to use it and its features. So I played around with that a little bit today, and hopefully that'll mean I will become more engaged in trying to 3D sculpt stuff, and I can start putting some fun little assets and eventually learn how to do that. Okay. Once again, this sleeve is oddly laid out, but I'll do what I can with it. Okay. Get those little stitches again. Put a little bit more of that brown on here. And then the next step, I think, will be to go ahead and hit it with highlights before I move on to anything else. What I do need to do is I need to go back and see how many of these hats I missed in terms of getting to highlight a little more. That one is got. Oh yeah, and I think I was going to go ahead and do her hair brown. So what I'm probably going to do is I'll actually use a speed paint to kind of separate it from this one. I'll go ahead and hit all of her hair with like a speed paint brown, and that will give it enough of a distinction from this brown and enough like depth of color that it won't look too bad. And once again, praise the sculptors because they did an absolutely fantastic job. The level of mischief on this woman's face is absolutely perfect. So yeah, good for them for managing to make some very fun sculpts. Wait a minute, did she have... Yeah, she did. She had some Poljan work that I could probably trim in this wood color. Okay, she's gonna have to get a new head, new hair, new head, new hair, new head hair. Oh, this guy's is fun. His is all over the side. Same thing with these. I should probably just go ahead and frame these in the brown color. This right here, just to make it look like they took some wood framing as opposed to just straight steel. I would recommend, if you can, use a better brush than what I'm using, but this seems to be... This way it looks a little bit more decorative. Okay. Yep. All these little baby seams so that I can... Actually, I think his beard is supposed to be brown, but it's definitely coming across a little bit odd because there's too much mess in there. So I think I'm just going to go back over the entire thing and repaint it with a slightly different mix of brown and like off-white, so that his scowl hair color looks a little different than the other one that I went back over. By and large, these speed paints were just meant to be kind of a template. Give me an idea of what this color would look like once I got like acrylic paint. There. And it also looks like I should redo his skin because that was pretty quickly done and it didn't cover very well. Again, though, shouldn't be too difficult. I have some really good skin tones I can use and build up from to give these faces a whole lot more depth. And see, that's something I really like about Games Workshop's products, and I'm kind of seeing it a little bit with others too, but I mainly see it with Games Workshop where uh, you can put as much or as little detail as you want into these models, and they kind of rise and fall with you, if you know what I mean. Um, Unless your paint job is way too thick, generally a model will look good even if it's not painted to the highest level of detail, and I think that's pretty fantastic. And a lot of it is due to the poses that they managed to get these guys in, as well as the level of texture they managed to get these for these models. Because there are some that are just overwhelming and there's way too much going on, and they're very noisy. But I feel like Games Workshop has gotten pretty good at avoiding that trap. They didn't always, and in some cases they still don't. But those are, to me, those are clearly meant to be display models, so they can afford to be a little noisy. But a lot of the main models that you might end up working with uh, seem to have a really good balance of doodads versus, readability. And I know that that was kind of a big point and a big issue with the Primaris Marines, and still continues to be an issue with them, is that they're a little boring to look at, and there's really not much in terms of adornment on them. Though honestly, I think that plays to their strength because it allows you to festoon them with all sorts of crazy crap of your own, and not having to rely so heavily on the very clearly ultramarine influences that a lot of them still have for the firstborns, if you know what I mean. So while some of them, like I think I talked about this before, but I feel like the Blood Angels got done dirty in 40K. They deserve to have considerably better looking minis. But like the Blood Angels, the Space Wolves, and the Dark Angels and whatnot, how they have incredibly unique looking minis because we know who that's supposed to be. So them having a ridiculous amount of decor themed to their chapter, that makes sense. But for all of the generic ones, it kind of makes sense to leave them a little more loosey goosey. so that people can take them and turn them into what they want. But of course, that's all just my opinion. Something I didn't notice about these guys that I'm starting to notice and I absolutely love is that they have like nose and ear piercings. And I think that's super cool because that feels like a newer development with the gnomes. I could be wrong because I don't follow Warhammer Fantasy, but the fact that they have, like I said, nose piercings and eye piercings and ear piercings, it feels like something that wouldn't have appeared on gnomes 20 years ago. Though honestly, Games Workshops are the ones with the style guides, so they probably did, and I just didn't know about it. And now that I'm learning about it, I think it's new and original. But that's why they're the ones designing the models, and I'm just sitting here admiring them. Again, great looking model. Eye piercings. Kind of, well, like eyebrow piercings, you know what I mean? I'm sorry, I'm kind of zoning out while I'm doing this, so my I guess we'll call it palaver is not always exactly what I'm trying to say. But yeah, I think the only people that are going to have eye piercings are going to be Slaanesh worshippers who just enjoy the pain. Okie dokie. Now I've got to move away from this brush into something a little more exacting so I can move into slightly better and not better, what's the word I'm looking for? A slightly more detailed and deft hand. So what I'm going to do here is I'm going to mix in some Dorn Yellow, which in this case is always acts as my ice white. Ice yellow? Ice yellow. And that way it gives, instead of just being straight white and making it paler, it'll give it a little bit of a warm tone, which is good. What we're looking for. There's an air bubble in there, and it pushed a whole bunch of paint. Okay. Into the ice white, and we'll actually work our way back. So, a little bit of it in there. Oh, that definitely gave it a nice little pale highlight to it. Okay, and on spaces where this worked, a little bit wetter. Very little of that is coming off. There we go. And in the case of these highlights, these guys are so small, I'm not actually going to be going very hard with them. Just a couple of light placements in the right spot, you know what I mean? I have talked about it before, but Guillaume David did an absolutely amazing job with the soundtrack, and I'm glad that of all the stuff I could be using, I happen to have this, because it just works so well as like moody paint music. All I know is that when I'm working at like the help desk, it definitely makes me feel like I'm some kind of low-level Mechanicus initiate whenever I get a freaking printer working or something. Speaking of, if you hate printers, the meme exists for a reason. Printers are awful. They cause far too many problems for what they are and what they're supposed to do. Brown, one ice yellow, nice little highlight. And let's get some of this detail back, because unfortunately, with me washing it all like I did, I've really killed some of the detail in these lovely shoes. There, across the belt buckle. More of the highlight right there. sleeves need to get got. And get a little bit of highlight in there. Mainly trying to hit some of the high spots. And also just a smidgen in the beard on those beard ridges. And that should give it just enough color. Looking for a very subtle one here. Oh. Don't really need it on the eyebrows, but I'll give it a little bit of a peppering. Make them stand out a bit more. And there we go. Now he's got a really vibrant looking mustache and bushy beard to go along with the rest of him. And hopefully that now pops up a lot better. Something I think I'm going to do, I'll have to go back later and I'll individually get some of these little bitty bobs that look like they could be highlighted better with a metallic. But that looks good for that guy. Let's move on. Same thing, just little highlights. You give these line guys a bit more personality, because otherwise they read as kind of generic, if you know what I mean. And here, just a little bit of lining. Try and draw just a bit of depth out of these outfits. And thankfully, since they're line troops, it's not super, or they're linemen, it's not super important, and it's not going to drastically affect how they look if they're not excessively detailed or exquisitely detailed. I will say, though, I would have loved to have seen a Golden Demon entry with, like, these Blood Bowl guys, because that would just be hilarious. The Gnomes were definitely a lot of personality, and I feel like, I guess because Blood Bowl isn't a super huge game, they kind of got overlooked, and that made me sad. I don't know if you guys saw the Golden Demon entries this year at Adepticon. I was exceedingly glad that, by and large, controversy seems to have been avoided, and it looked like the pieces that won were all extremely good picks, and I didn't really see anyone complain about it or point out issues with it like we had in previous Golden Demons. So I'm just glad for that. I don't know how much you guys follow the Golden Demon stuff, but since I'm trying to improve my painting and, you know, become better at it, I definitely pay attention to see what the level of painting looks like. And we're getting to a point where, on a technical level, they almost feel indistinguishable from each other. And I guess what we're starting to see instead is, like, mastery in creating a scene, if you know what I mean. The pieces are just so beautiful to look at, and there's so much going on with them, that if to really make them stand apart, you have to construct like a whole ass scene and scenario for the model to live in. And that's amazing to me. That's way beyond anything I can currently do. And so it is kind of cool just seeing it exist out there. I do know that someone won with a fairly straightforward Sisters of Battle model, and she was just kind of on a plinth. But it was thematic to Sisters of Battle, and it looked absolutely fantastic. But I was happy to see something of that kind of simplicity. Like, I'm not saying it was simple, because it wasn't, but it didn't need to be on a huge war-torn battlefield. It didn't need to have an obscene amount of anything. It was just an incredibly well-executed model. And I'm not going to claim to be like the authority on any of this, because as you can tell by my painting, I am a fairly amateur painter, you know what I mean? And these Golden Demon winners are above and beyond anything I can currently do. but it was nice to see someone seemingly relying on the strength of the model itself as opposed to what they could put around it, and really focusing on that. I thought that was cool. Of course, I could be way wrong. That could have been not their point, not their intention at all, but that's how I read it. And yeah, see, this is where me not putting the right texture paints down before putting on the grass is starting to bite me in the butt a little bit, because it's starting to flake off in ways that it wouldn't if it had an extra layer of adhesive down, because that's kind of what the texture paste becomes, and it's really good for that. I actually ended up learning that on my last commission, because the client wanted to know if I could add some of that before adding the grass tufts, because they saw little bits of the base under the grass tufts because of how much it's fallen out, and they just didn't like that look. So I feel like I got lucky in getting to learn of another thing I can do to improve my own modeling and my own basing. Stick this on here so that they're nice and bright. Now, one thing to remember generally is that the stuff will dull down. It's never going to dry the same color that is when you put it on. So I'm most likely going to need to go back, hit it again, to really get it to pop. But that's fine. I can already see how much better some of this stuff looks. Okay. Same thing here. Just a little highlight across some of the spots where I feel like light would catch the best. I'm gonna save that badger for a whole nother session. He's gonna be his own big deal. Okay. Thankfully, since this guy is a beastmaster, he's got most of his stuff covered, so I don't have to worry too much about hitting a lot of these highlights. There, a little bit there. Okay. And yeah, see, this is where my slap chop, my dry brushing didn't work out too well, because I don't know if you can see on the hand, but it's very grainy looking and chalky looking because of the not stellar job I did in dry brushing over his hand. That's gonna have to be, that's I can't. Okay, this guy, go ahead and do something with all of this cord that is wrapped around the tree. Because it being the same color as the tree really weakens the overall look. Already done. There we go. Back over the other side. Where it's visible. And now, not perfect, but we definitely have some separation, and that's good. There's so many details that can get lost on this model. And if that's the level of detail that you want to paint, you don't want to have to deal with all the fiddly bits, then cool. More power to you. But one of my favorite things to do is go back and work on these bits, because it's what really makes the model pop. Because yeah, that staff is so much better now that it's got a contrasting color on it on more material. One other thing that I forgot to get are the stitches in his hat. That's all. That got too watered down. Actually, it is entirely too watered down. What is happening? There we go. Okay. Now, something I have been up to that is starting to really catch my attention is I've been playing more Yakuza. And I think I talked about that previously, that between watching Onsta and kind of just wishing that I was able to finish the game because I had bought it back in like golly 2016 when it first came out. I got the collector's edition. Um I've been playing it again on my PC, and I just recently got to the Cabaret Club Simulator Manager game. And it's made me not care too much about the main game anymore because the Cabaret Club Sim is incredibly addictive. And for anyone out there who's listening that doesn't know, I think eventually your eyes are going to be red, Mr. Badger. For anyone who doesn't know, the Cabaret Club Simulator is like a mini game that you get to do as Majima, who's one of the principal characters of the game, where you have to take a small, struggling, about to close down cabaret club and recruit girls and train them up and try and successfully run it to becoming a much bigger deal uh, to defeat a bunch of other rival cabarets who are run by dipshits. And it's really addictive. It's definitely a novel idea. Um, like I said, it made me stop caring about the main game because I just want to go back and do that now. So kudos to Ryoga Goto Studios for making a very fun diversion. Because like the property manager stuff, okay, fine, I can do that. It's okay. But as soon as I started really getting into the cabaret stuff, it was like, oh, I understand why people like this now. So if you can, I would strongly suggest you go play Yakuza 0 because the game itself is good, but also so you can play the Cabaret Club Manager. Incredibly fun, incredibly good thing. In fact, I'll be completely honest with you, I was strongly considering playing that instead of streaming tonight. Because even though I did wake up at my normal time and I had a relatively normal day, since we still have that one coworker out, I'm still covering for a lot of stuff because the other coworker that I still got there is supposed to be doing the more complex jobs while I take most of the easier stuff. And normally there's 3 of us there, but with that one person out, we've been down to like 1 or 2. So it's just like, man, I could stream tonight, or I could Cabaret Club Manager. Honestly, though, I'm pretty happy that I'm doing this instead. Because as much fun as Cabaret Club Manager is, it does feel good to stream. And it feels good to get more work done on these guys, because I don't want them lingering too long. And this one's all swirly and fuzzy and all that fun stuff. This one is relatively normal, so you're going to get your lace is done. I'm going to make it even brighter to show that these are footy ball laces. And what I'm going to do eventually is go back over it with a with like a little pale green aura to make it look like it's got cool stuff going on. Laces up here as well. There's a lot going on here, and unfortunately it's so muddled in that I can't really see what it is, and that's mostly my fault because I tried to just hit this really hard with a level of paint, and unfortunately it seems to have covered up a lot of the details on her shoes. Either that, or she didn't have very many to begin with, which doesn't seem like a Games Workshop thing, so all I can assume is that I did, which is fine. It'll be fine. It's going to be fine. He looks fantastic. So this one can go back down. are the gentlemen around here. So we're going to go ahead and base coat that in a little heavier. Because there's a lot of parts of this beard that are unevenly coated, so make sure that it is good for gels. He also happens to have a nose ring. Very neat. There we go. Go ahead and do this again. That's all good and dandy. Into the highlights. Not very strong. Not strong. Oh, it's a little bit brighter even. I also don't know if you guys have been keeping up with it, but it looks like Wizards of the Coast managed to put their foot in it again. And then, once they were caught, blessedly, were smart enough to back away and back off their decision. But, there's been a mod made for Stardew Valley. And honestly, I haven't played a lot of Stardew Valley. It wasn't a game that I dedicated much time to, but I know that it's got some very hardcore fans because it's a good game. And the creator seems like a genuinely cool person. But one of the mods for it actually creates a whole new version of the game. I don't know if it's whole new, but you know what I mean. With the Baldur's Gate characters, Baldur's Gate 3 characters, as villagers. And I'm pretty sure, correct me if I'm wrong, but it also kind of puts their story into Stardew Valley, so you kind of can replay their stories, but in the Stardew Valley kind of universe game engine. And I think that's a really cool, really ambitious idea. And apparently the Larian Studios head saw it, thought it was amazing, and was very excited for them. And they obviously put it out as a modding community, and people were very excited for it. And then there was apparently a DMCA, a cease and desist. I don't remember what it was called, but it went under review on the Nexus mods because Wizards of the Coast tried to copyright strike it. Which is, you know, great PR. And once that got talked about, which I think was yesterday, today Wizards came out and said, oopsie poopsie, that's not what we meant to do. That was completely accidental, so we're going to try and get that removed and not do that. But it's kind of that thing of, once again, Wizards having to be found out that they're doing something shady and kind of shitty, and then having to backtrack out of it. Which, you know, sucks. But, given their track record over the past few years, it's kind of hard to take in good faith that it was an oopsie-doopsie and not something intentional. You know what I mean? Because if you followed Wizards over the past couple years, you've noticed, probably seen, that they've done some pretty questionable things. Just in terms of, like, this looks terrible from a PR perspective. Okay, this guy's mustache is all whiskery looking, which, again, exactly what I want. I think it's fantastic because it's got some variance. His beard does not look the same as the previous ones that I've done. And so I'm going to hit them with a little bit of a glaze to try and even out some of these brighter whiskers and blend them in. But yeah, he looks pretty darn good. I'm happy with that. Okay, that one's done. Okay, and this lady, she's going to also be getting brunette hair. Because we already have a blonde, and brunette should work.
only the hair and try not to hit anything else. Okay. That's mostly that. And now I can hit this on her back, which I'm pretty sure is supposed to be more of her hair. And I'll give that time to dry, which should then give me time to work on the rest of her. Go about here as well. My initial plan was going to be to hit her with the brown wash, the brown speed paint, but I think this will work perfectly fine. So, let's go ahead and hit the wall because it's very unevenly coated. Also, I'm not sure how many of you guys have done it, but if you can, and if you like turn-based strategy games, give Mechanicus a shot. I know they're making another one. It was announced. The first one is very good and portrays the Adeptus Mechanicus in a very fascinating and interesting way. And I think also contains one of my favorite Adeptus Mechanicus lines, which is one of the characters saying, error, damn, not found. Which is a really fun inversion of the phrase, like I give a damn. So, kudos to them for a fairly intelligently written set of banter between characters that are intensely trying to become more machine than man. Great game. I never figured out how it ended though because I was dog water at it and I never got that far. If you have a chance to, I definitely would. Probably get to redo this if I'm realizing this is going on way too thick. And it's no longer really an edge highlight as much as it is just globbed on there. So we're gonna back. And that immediately is better. Okay, that worked. Okay. And see, this is actually a great example of how the angle of the brush matters, because what I'm struggling with right now is actually brush placement and the angle at which I'm hitting some of these brush strokes. And that's why some of them are incredibly fat, while others are considerably thinner and more delicate. Because this brush is also not in its best shape, but because it's got kind of a misshapen tip for painting, it means that the way I choose to lay the brush and the way I choose to angle it, it really changes what it's doing to the model. So it's definitely one of those things of pay attention to the angle that you hold your brush, and you will get completely different brush strokes. You will get completely different character to the brush strokes that you're putting on the model. And of course, if you're not super worried about that level of detail, then don't worry about it. It'll be fine. Your models are going to look great. If you are super worried about it, though, if you're wondering why you can't seem to get deft, precise brush strokes, that would be your answer. Because you don't have a sharp enough tip, and you are not holding your brush correctly to take advantage of it if you do have it. I think actually, because I ended up making her hair a little bit more sandy, I can go even higher. There it is again. The brush was too loaded, and it ended up being too much. That's okay. I think I'm actually going to go ahead and go with this like lighter, almost blonde brown. Because it's actually doing some fun things to her hair that I'd like to imitate. across the rest of Enchantress's hair. There, a little bit there. Yeah, there we go. I think that'll work. Like I said, though, the flesh on the face, that tone is going to be a whole new one. Did I already do this guy? I already did this guy. Okay, back to him. Do the same kind of thing. Try and hit this in a way that highlights aspects of the model. Doesn't really drown anything out. Now, if anyone out there is really watching, they'll notice that I'm not being super precious with this guy, or with these models in general. I'm talking about all these things like highlighting the mod, doing edge highlighting, glazes, but I'm not really hitting these techniques with the same level of precision you might be used to seeing. And that's perfectly fine, because one of the best things about doing this, especially the way that I am, is that I'm learning. Because the best way to learn is by doing. And so I'm getting to see how it works live, and I'm getting to kind of adjust and say, oh, that doesn't look great, or oh, that's something I should probably fix. You know, making live decisions, snap decisions live. Though honestly, I do think one of my favorite comments I've gotten so far, because I do upload these as a VOD on YouTube, is when the female custodies thing was a thing. That's when I guess some people found my channel, and they decided that they were going to use that time to try and troll me. And so I had one or two comments that were just like, "Shit looks like ass. Learn to paint." And it's just like, okay, buddy. You've got absolutely nothing on your channel. I have no idea who you are. You go ahead and have fun trying to make me feel bad for my mistakes. Okay. There. Oh, crud. I have been forgetting entirely about these, not these stitches on the back. I got so kind of dialed into what I was doing, I forgot about the themes on their hats. So I'm gonna have to work my way back now. What to do about that? Whoops. This is why I love plastic. He bounced right back. Popped right back up like, haha, you can't hurt me. Now there are resins like that, and I do enjoy and appreciate them greatly. But they're expensive, and they're not quite as good. The plastic that GW uses is fantastic for durability. Okay. Now it looks like I got this one okay, so I don't really need to hit that one again. Back onto this guy. Same kind of thing. The browns, trying to highlight them a little bit to make them pop just a bit more, make these models a little less flat, and then I'll move on to the next thing. What it is, I'm not sure yet, but I suppose I will find out. This is legitimately just me doing a little bit of edge highlighting to make some of these aspects on the model stand out a bit more. And I really wish I'd been a little more precious with things on these buckles, because I can't make out one part of the buckle from the next. Be precious with your paints, guys. Don't just slop them on. Well, you know, on places where it would be a bad idea to slop them on. But I will say, this icy yellow brown mix is getting me a lot of mileage. Brown, this yellow. Might cost some up. Oh, that's a lot of moisture. Let's try this. Krill, you're really good at a lot of things. One of which, unfortunately, is being a smidge too wet. Okay. That. That. I was about to make a comment about how I was doing a much better job of kind of controlling the tip of the brush, but then I made that big blob right there, so, you know, I'll just shut up. Just a little bit. That should reduce down at least a smidgen. Go. And I mean, again, given the size of them, given the fact that they're going to be on a table on a you know, a pitch, no one's going to see a lot of these details. But I feel like as a whole, it's going to do a pretty good job of really making parts of the model a lot more visible for the viewers. Okay. Hit that brown in his beard again. I do not know for the life of me how his nose ended up being so orange. Hey Darkfold, how's it going? Good to see you. How's your day been? I actually got to go to bed at a normal hour and wake up at a normal hour, so I have the energy to paint and stream. Stream and paint. They still got me working pretty hard over at the service desk, but I don't feel like death. Just woke up from a normal going to bed time, so I'm up too early. Oh goodness, I bet that feels weird. That's what happened to me when I did have to wake up early. Was the next day I got to sleep in, and when my alarm went off, my eyes bolted open, and it's like I am hyper aware for this early in the morning, and it feels weird. Unfortunately, I haven't been able to replicate that, which sucks, because I did enjoy having more energy and feeling more enthusiastic about the morning, because I'm not a morning person. I used to be a night person, but now I'm just too old and I get tired. So I guess I'm just a person. Okay. Just gonna be a little bit sloppy with this because there's so much texture to this beard. I feel like I'd be doing us a disfavor if I didn't get most of it. So yeah, I initially did like a wash over all these beards or a speed paint, and it turned out pretty okay, but it looked really spotty. So I'm kind of going back over and trying to do a little bit more interesting things with the texture. But unfortunately, I'm also kind of fighting my brush because I'm too stubborn to get a new one. I don't really want to start working with a new one until I have something really nice to paint. You know what I mean? Not to say these elves or these gnomes aren't nice, but I'm thinking more along the lines of a Primarch, something to play with. So I'm just trying to get these guys to have a little bit more detail in their look, so that when you look at them from pretty far away, they've got these more clearly identifiable cuffs and whatnot. If you're still a night person that's trying to switch back to daytime, I can get that. I can definitely get that. Having to switch over even a smidge when I started working at Best Buy back in February, or was it March? I forget. That was weird, and I didn't actually change my sleeping patterns. I kept waking up at 6 in the morning because that's what I had trained my body to do for almost a decade. So it was really hard to break that pattern, and to be completely honest, I just never did. So to break another pattern, I need to use the bathroom. So I will be right back, because it went from being like, oh, I've got to go, to oh, you've got to go. So I don't have a be right back, so it's going to be starting soon.
You ever have to go to the bathroom so bad that when you finally go, you're almost lightheaded? Because that's where I am right now. Ugh. Man, I feel so much better. Thank you for that. Thank you for that patience. Now I can get back to painting these gnomes. My initial plan was to eventually go back over to working on the Marvel Crisis Protocol stuff, but I'm definitely putting a little more effort into these than I expected to. Okay. So yeah, work has been busy and it has left me tired, but thankfully, I still have the energy and the desire to do this stuff, because I know for a little while I was just too darn tired to stream, and that sucked because I enjoy it. So I'm glad that I've been able to keep a relatively stable schedule here. Now let's see. Oh, away. These notes for myself are a gift. These are a gift. I originally bought them as a gift, and my plan was I was going to paint all of them up to the absolute best of my ability, and I was going to put them on like a cool display plinth and do just like this really great diorama for a friend. And then I realized it was their birthday on Thursday, and these guys were still in the box. So I think you were there for that when I was just kind of frantically putting them together. I ended up finishing that, but I realized I could not paint all of these in 2 days to any degree of what I would consider acceptable. So instead, I painted one up really good, which is the one I posted in the Discord. And then, yeah, I decided I would just go ahead and give that to them as a gift and do the rest of these at a much more relaxed pace, so that they would still look good instead of rushed. Because while this person is not like super discerning and critical about the paint job, since even though they were the one that taught me how to paint, they mentioned a long time ago that I kind of surpassed them, and they weren't expecting a gift at all. I still want these to look good, you know, pride as a painter and whatnot. But yeah, that one is just me kind of panicking and freaking out as I'm putting these guys together. At least I think it is. Yeah. Oh, it's them. Yeah, that was the idea. What the first one I painted, this friend, they love gnomes. They always have. They think they're neat. They want to collect them. And I've considered printing just like lawn gnomes and hiding them all over their house and their yard and whatnot. But I haven't gotten around to doing that. So, this was kind of that compromise where I could go ahead and do the gnomes for them. And in the case of the one, he also smokes a pipe. And so the one gnome that's smoking a pipe, it's like, yeah, that's perfect. And he also loves ducks and geese. He thinks they're very silly. So being able to do that meant I was able to put like all of those things together in one model and be like, hey, here you go. I painted this to be like you. Thank you. I don't try to be sweet. I like my friends and I appreciate them. So if I get to do cool shit for them that makes them happy, then I'm happy. Okay. I think that looks good. Yeah, that does bring just enough to it. I'm gonna have to repaint that beard white and hit it again with the speed paint wash. Okay. Hey, Shiny Mew Paints, how's it going? How are you doing? It's good to see you guys. I'm glad that you are all hanging out. But I'm glad to see you all here. Does need to be a little brighter. You never need to try to be sweet. You appreciate your friends. That is true. That is true. That's the whole thing. I just appreciate my friends and I want them to be happy. So I try and do fun little shit that will make them happy. Yeah, what have you guys been up to? I mentioned it previously in the stream, but I have become hopelessly addicted to the cabaret club manager in Yakuza 0. Did you see the thick thing in Discord? It depends on which thick thing, because if you're talking about that awesomely designed character for, I want to say VR chat,
then yes, I did, and I talked about it on my previous stream before I hopped off. I had a couple minutes left over, and I was like, you know what? Now would be a great time to show all of the things that everyone dropped in while I was busy panicking. So I went through all of them and talked about them. And I will be honest with you, I was a bit overwhelmed by the thing you dropped in, because it was really cool, and it was neat to see, and it was just like, wow, I'm not sure what I'm supposed to focus on. And I don't mean that in a bad way. It was very fun to look at. It was very fun to talk about. And I'm sorry if I come across a little awkward while talking about it, but you did a really cool job. It's near the end, if you just want to get to that part instead of listening to me panic for an hour and a half while I try and put together a bunch of gnomes. But yeah, I don't know much about VR chat. I don't know much about that kind of modeling, but it's very clean, and I love the color palette. I wish I had more that I could say about it to fawn over it, because you obviously worked pretty darn hard on it. Okay. I don't know what this guy is supposed to be gesturing for. Maybe the ball? But, yeah. Can I hit that? That. There we go. And again, he's going to need to also get his stuff painted back over, because it's very splotchy, and splotchy no good. Okay, so next, I think, is actually going to be me hitting them. You know what? I think I'm going to go black and then go back over. Not done any painting lately, but you got back into animating for a bit. Oh, that's very cool. The day's been dragging on, me being tired at random times of the day. That sucks. I hate days that feel like you should be doing something, but you're too tired to do anything. And then the day just kind of keeps happening while you sit there being upset that you weren't able to do anything. Because I've had, when I was still a school teacher, I had days like that during breaks and weekends where, you know, I wouldn't have to be at work and I should be relaxing, but all I can think about is what I want to do versus what I'm not doing, which then would make me feel bad, and it was just kind of that vicious cycle. So, sorry that kind of happened to you. And I gotta say, I'm pretty darn jazzed, at least on my end, that that's the amount of times that has happened has reduced dramatically since I stopped teaching. Because I was worried that was what the rest of my life was going to be like, me just being upset that I wasn't doing what I should have been doing, and then just kind of feeling bad for myself. But no, that's pretty much gone away once I stopped teaching, and now I don't feel bad for sitting around and doing nothing and just kind of enjoying existing. Oh, this is a very thick black paint, so it's going to be interesting. Actually, yeah, it's going to be interesting to try and paint back over. We're going to put you over here. So I fixed the focal length on this camera so that I constantly fighting it while I was moving stuff around. And that's kind of what's happening now. I'm placing these guys out of the way, and thankfully the camera lens isn't having a panic attack, if you know what I mean. So yeah, I hope that your day of drag on is a one-time thing, and you get to go back to having chill days again. You know what has been preventing me from having a chill day recently? The fact that I keep watching ordinary sausage videos with my partner because they have become enamored with them. And it's not that we keep watching them because I love them as well, but it's that watching those videos makes me want to get a meat grinder and a sausage press. And I don't need a meat grinder and a sausage press. But man, do I want a meat grinder and a sausage press. Did honest effective God, yes. Because I've been watching her play through Yakuza and Judgment and those games, it's been that thing of like, yeah, these sausage videos are horrifying. I can't stop watching them. And in one case, it was these sausage videos are horrifying. I got to show my wife. And so I did. And at first she was kind of mortified, but eventually they grew on her. And so now whenever we find them or we have a moment, she's just like, "Can we watch a sausage video?" So yeah, they've just become part of our regular viewing habits, which I don't know, it just means that I married the right person, I guess. But yeah. Now I just want to get a sausage press and a meat grinder because I'd love to be able to make healthier sausage. A meat grinder and a sausage press is neat thing to have, but I would say maybe get a kitchen machine with a meat grinder attachment you can swap out. I technically have that because I have a food processor, and the food processor does have a an attachment that allows you to do that. And the only reason I know that is many years ago, using that same food processor. One moment, I'm focusing really hard on these eyebrows. Um, I used it to grind up 2 different cuts of beef so that I could make a replica recipe of In-N-Out's famous hamburgers. And I don't know if you know, but In-N-Out is a restaurant chain out on the West Coast. And they have a very passionate fan base because apparently their burgers are just absolutely amazing. And I was living with a roommate at the time who was very into In-N-Out. And he kept telling me how good they were, but we live on the other side of the country, which, if you know about the United States, means that there's no way on God's green earth we're going to In-N-Out. And so I found a copycat recipe, and we tried it out. And first of all, the burgers were really good, but I oversalted them, and so they were very salty. Texturally, though, with the 2 cuts of meat in them, absolutely aces. Would strongly recommend. Only I could find the recipe again, you know. But yeah, I've still got that lying around somewhere. Okay, same thing here. We're just gonna go ahead and hit all of this with black. Bring us back to like a neutral dark color. That's something I just realized none of these gnomes have. None of these gnomes had black beards up until I painted them black. They were all like white or brown or blonde. So I think I'm gonna keep a couple of these with just slight highlights to pepper the beards so that we can maintain a black beard. But for others, I'm going to build back up to like a white. Like I know the guy with the staff, wherever he went. Actually, no, he turned out fine. He's supposed to be Dave the Gnome, so he's fine. Sausages need the salt, so you can't really oversalt them. That is true, because they dry out really bad, don't they? Honestly, part of my plan though is that I'm purposely wanting to start making my own sausage to not eliminate, but to drastically reduce the salt content in sausages because I have blood pressure issues and I like sausages. So I figure if I can make my own sausages, I can reduce the salt in them and use healthier cuts of meat and make it so that I don't have blood pressure issues anymore. Well, at least make it stop contributing to my blood pressure issues. So that's the plan there. This is entirely a selfish ploy for me to be able to eat more sausage. Because between the two of us, I am definitely the bigger fan at my house. Also, American meat is just goddamn awful. So that's also what's helping drive this is homemade stuff is a whole lot better. You watched the Hell's Reach animation and it looked like Grimaris. Is the Hell's Reach? Oh, the fan animation. Yeah, I know what you're talking about. They ended up working with Games Workshop to make the Blood Angels animation that I'm forgetting the name of. And they did a really good job with it. But unfortunately for me, they had that issue where like the Space Marines felt chunky and weird in their armor, like it was too bulky for them. And that kind of ruined it a bit for me. It was beautiful because they kept everything in this really muted grayscale, and then they made the Blood Angels armor
Oh, you got to put a picture of the thickness in the Discord. Thank you. They made the Blood Angel's armor this beautiful, rich crimson red. It's a pretty good animation. I didn't get to finish it because I stopped subscribing to Warhammer Plus before I did. But it was definitely worth a watch, and I did enjoy the bits that I saw. But yeah, I actually have the Hell's Reach animation saved somewhere. I can't watch it though because the shaky cam and the jittery animation on it really seriously engages my motion sickness. So I tried to watch it for a little while, then was like, I'm going to throw up. I'm turning this off. They don't really move like how you'd like to see them as Astartes and Secret Level, but you like the character moments a lot. Yeah, they're incredibly well written. And in terms of thickness, yet again, yep, there she is. Okay, what's happening with this? Sorry, I gotta give you a... Very cool. Okay, I'll have to give that a look up later. But in the meantime, we got the thickness, and they're even in a pool, which is kind of neato. I'm pretty sure Hell's Reach was made after Astartes, but before like all the other stuff. So they weren't exactly trying to capture the same thing. But I honestly, like, I agree with you. The fact that they managed to get, a solid, what is it, hour and a half feature out of it, and with Jonathan Keeble, oh, it switches after a while, becoming less and less jittery. Okay, I didn't know that. So this is what Shiny Mew Paints was working on, and what they did. So I'm gonna go ahead and post this. This was the thing that they were trying to show last time. 3, 2, 1, and bam. So again, Shiny Mew Paints, you'll have to explain a little bit. I'm not sure what this is. Is this from VR chat? Is this another engine? It is incredibly thick with every C that I can muster. And I really like the color palette. I'm not sure. I want to say it reminds me of the puppet from Five Nights at Freddy's, but it also kind of looks like a lot of other influences could be in there. So what exactly, where was your brain when you designed this? Like, what was your influences? What did you pull from when you made this design? I'm curious. But yes, this is what Shiny Mew Paints was talking about in the chat. This is what they have made. Again, very impressive. At some point, I would like to be able to render and model like that. So what I probably should do then is what you're telling me is I should go ahead and skip ahead a little bit and see if I can watch more of it without having to vom, without having to yarf. Because I don't remember who wrote Hell's Reach, but I know that it's a well-respected, well-regarded Black Library author, and obviously having Jonathan Keeble narrate is just absolute peak. For anyone who doesn't know, Jonathan Keeble is a tremendous narrator, audiobook reader, whatever you want to call it. They have won awards. They have won awards for their audiobook narration. And they are just very good. So they absolutely kill it with Hell's Reach, as they do with pretty much everything they've read, stars notwithstanding, which they did as good a job as a person could do when given bad work, a bad idea. But yeah, they do good stuff. They also gave Helbrecht his infamous rasp that Brava Alphabusa decided to mimic in the podcast episode they did of text-to-speech. It is based on the puppet from FNAF. I knew it! I'm good at this. So yeah, if you ever have a chance, I'm pretty sure it's all still on the Alphabusa home or YouTube page, but they have a series of podcasts that they did to kind of fill time in between episodes for text-to-speech, and one of the ones they work on is an episode about the Black Templars, and Alphabusa Helbrecht gets teleported into the throne room, and Alphabusa is just doing that voice, and I don't know how he's not ripping his vocal cords. So yeah, it's very impressive, and I feel bad for his throat. Excuse me. That's meant to be Helbrecht? Yeah, that's meant to be Helbrecht.
I'll see if I can find it again for anyone who's curious. But when Jonathan Keeble plays him, he gives him this really grating like growl, and it's very, very distinct. And then Alpha Busa does his own version, and it's honestly, I don't know how that man can still speak like a normal human being. Let me see if I can actually find it. Just give me a second. Yep, it's right here. Let's go here. Let's mute this. Like when he's talking at the beginning, he's talking to people. He's talking to some soldiers, and he starts saying like his name, and it's just like, holy crap, dude, are you okay? Of course, I'm not going to be able to find it because, you know, I'm looking for it. Yeah, I'm not going to find it. Sorry, I'm looking. Actually, you know what? Screw it. Hell's Reach. Hellbrecht. No, I'm not gonna find. Okay, here's what I'm gonna do instead. I'm not gonna spend too much more time on this. Let's go, Brova Alphabuse, and let's go into here. Wait, podcasts. Nope, that ain't it. Let's see how far back I'm gonna have to go to find this because it's very good. It's just also absolutely terrifying. Okay. Nope. Wow, not as far back as I expected. The Emperor. Oh, he must have gotten rid of some of these because I'm not finding it, and that's making me sad. Special. Nope. Nope. The podcast. To Beach podcast. I'm sorry, guys. I got started on this, and now I've got to see it through. Oh God! I must have been showing this to someone else because it's absolutely terrifying. Okay, so I think I'm gonna turn the audio off for this, and you guys are just gonna get to hear this maybe. Let's see how it goes.
Drop Crete and lost the cash for the better part of a moment.
Who are you, skeleton?
So nice. Please try to keep your sword under control.
This whole guess thing never works out, does it?
I know what you are. You are a bunch of fucking witches, magical whores.
So yeah, that's his Hellbrecht. It's very intense. Yeah. I'm sorry for those of you who had to listen to that and weren't too fond of it, but that was meant to be Hellbrecht, and that's just made funnier given how intimidating a character he's supposed to be in the lore. That's a very aggressive Batman. You're not wrong. You are not wrong. I don't know how that man can still speak like a normal human being, because that is some very intense vocal work. Yeah, I'm not, but it's funny now because I listened to that way back when I was first getting into 40K, and so a lot of the humor of that, while it was very funny, was completely lost on me simply because I wasn't in the know with a lot of the jokes. And now that I've read through as much of the Horus Heresy as I have, and I've been with the hobby as long as I have, all of the humor lands. You found the animation? You posted showcases? Yeah, I found the whole thing. Oh, very cool. Your animation. Oh, this looks lovely. Is that oh my god, I can't remember the name. The character from Ballad of Ennersval. Is that from Ballad of Ennersval? Because it looks like it. Yes, this one right here. Yes. Okay, cool.
I am so far behind on that. I've watched like 30 minutes of it, and otherwise I've just kind of kept up via their Friday Kari, that's right. Their Friday talks about it. So yeah, I was like, man, that looks so familiar. Oh, that's lovely. These are adorable. I'm glad that you decided to share these, and I think you should share more because your art style is very appealing, and it's just fun to look at. This is absolutely adorable. So kudos to you for doing those, and again, thank you for sharing. I love seeing cool art. I love seeing cool art, especially because, as weird as this may sound, I am not particularly artistically inclined. I think I've talked about this before. This stuff, this mini painting is the first thing that I've really become very engaged with on any level of with like creativity. So, a lot of that world is still kind of foreign to me, and because I'm still so like new into it, I'm really enjoying seeing what people do. You haven't done too much, and that's perfectly fine. No one there's no quota on how much you should be producing other than the quota you set for yourself, right? Unless you're working on commission or something. So you should just be happy with whatever you manage to get done because it's work that wasn't there before you did it, and now you've blessed the world with it. So yeah, at least that's my view on it. You express it with the mini training and you're training your hand-eye coordination. That's a big step to getting into. Yes, I very much agree that I am getting into art, but it still feels like this community that I'm not really that I'm just becoming a part of. You know what I mean? What's actually helped a lot is that my partner is an artist, and she is a very good one, which you guys have seen in the community days from Doig Swift. Um, and if it wasn't for her, I wouldn't know much about this stuff. She's been incredibly lovely with helping me learn. Okay. Yeah, you look like you can. Very heavily whited eyes. And so she's been teaching me a lot about it, and it's given me a whole lot more empathy and understanding for the art community. And I'm not going to say I didn't have much to begin with, but having the better context has helped me understand it better and appreciate it more. As a member of the art community and you're wiping part of it, you know this, you're well accepted. Yeah, I appreciate it. I think that'll work. Just trying to get some. Okay. Oh gosh, now I gotta do the eyes. Eventually, I'm going to have to go back and paint the hats, and potentially, oh, I didn't get his harness and the shirts because they are all too dark and muted for what I'm looking for. Do simply what you enjoy. Yes, simply do what you enjoy. That is very true, and that's something that I have tried to encourage via this stream and via the Discord, is for people to post their stuff and be proud of their stuff and have their stuff celebrated. That's been a huge thing for me, is creating a space where that's a big thing. One thing is eyes. I know that sentence didn't make any sense, but I'm focusing so hard on these eyes, and their eyes are so tiny. I get a laugh because there's that meme of like Gollum doing the strained face, and he's having such a hard time, and then you look and he's trying to paint in the lenses of a space marine, and not to get all hoity-toity and highfalutin, but I kind of laugh at that simply because the eyes on the space marine are so big compared to some of the stuff that I've been trying to work on. So it's just funny seeing that that's a point of difficulty, and it's like, no, I'm way beyond that point of difficulty. I have ascended to new levels of frustration and fear. Okay. Oh, his eyes are almost closed. That's evil.
Oh no, that eye is sealed shut. Okay, I'm not even touching that one. He seems to have lost that eye, so I'm gonna go ahead and hit this one. There we go. The meme is so real, and yet lenses so big compared to eyes. Yeah, don't get me wrong, because like I remember when I first started doing this, lenses were the bane of my existence. But now, I mean, what the eye I just did compared to my thumbnail, it's so tiny. But again, that's the fun of doing this stuff, is being able to have experiences and understand the memes, all that fun stuff, right? I can do this. I can do this. Oh, I didn't do it. I hit it with the wrong part. That's okay. It looks fine. No one will know. No one will know. No one saw it. It's not on recording or anything. It's fine. It's fine. It's fine. Okay. Same thing here. I accidentally hit it perfect. Same with that one. I accidentally hit it perfect. Wow. A lot of this did not stick to the base. I am so frustrated with the fact. Oh, she's got a lot more hair. I forgot to put down any texture paste for the bases. And so they are really having a hard time holding on to the grass, even though I glued it down. That has been frustrating, because the grass is just like falling off. Painting memes are sharing your own painting pains, being relieved, and you're not the only one suffering. Exactly. That's the beauty of it. I mean, that's the beauty of all of this stuff, though, right? Is you're creating community, and you're embracing community, and you're part of community. Everyone's going through the same or similar stuff, and you can all laugh about it together. That's why, honestly, I think like these Twitch streams and like Twitch in general and social media in this function has been an absolute blessing, because a lot of people, probably this is a very lonely hobby for them. So knowing that there's others out there who are going through the same silliness they are, and the same trials and tribulations and skills and development, it's got to be good. It definitely made me feel better as I was going through this. And Combunidil, Combunity, I don't know what that is. Is that comedy? I don't have my glasses on, so reading is difficult. And I mean, it was already difficult because I'm sleepy, but yeah, reading difficult. Oh my god, I love these guys so much. I'm so sad that I'm messing up their eyes. Okay, that one turned out okay. Let's be writing community. Oh, okay, there we go. Community. Yeah, there you go. I can hear it. I just had to yell it out loud myself. So I will say, this is helping me really appreciate Twin Goddess Mini's versions of the goblins, because they have huge eyes, and so painting their eyes is really easy compared to painting these guys' eyes. Like I'm not even gonna try and hit their irises. Maybe if I was painting these up for a competition, or I was getting paid for it, I'd go ahead and try the eyes. But with the brush that I've got now, they don't need eyes. No one's gonna know that they don't have eyes. Okay. Once again, though, fantastic facial hair on this guy. A+ facial hair. Okay. Let's see. Because unfortunately, he's got some very highlighted stuff that needs to be beaten down a little bit, so we're going to go ahead and mix in and really water it down. Turn it into more of a glaze. Hopefully. So that way... Yeah, that's what I was looking for. That'll kind of knock it down a little bit. Twin Goddesses style aligns with your own art style, so you enjoy the bigger eyes. Yeah, it definitely makes them look good. I'm pretty jazzed with how they turned out. I still got the one that Shiny Mew Paints wants me to paint that I've primed, and I haven't been able to do much else with it. She's right here, and eventually I will get around to painting. Like, she is still on the docket. It's just that I keep getting hit with other things. So eventually this one will get painted, and eventually I'll be able to do some cool stuff with it. That's one that I'm gonna break out the new paintbrush for, because I'm gonna need that sharp tip. Okay, did I do his eyes? I did not. Let's see what I can do here. I heard a beep boop. So I'll have that one look in a second. Go ahead and use some of that to brighten up the eyes, put the eyebrows a bit. There we go. And now Dave the Gnome looks like Dave the Gnome. Okay. That's probably gonna have to be me calling it, to be honest, because it's 9/11. It's almost time for Betty Buys. I need to do the sleep thing, so, or at least get ready for the sleep thing. So I think that's what I'm gonna call it. I got pretty far with these, and I'm pretty happy with how they're turning out. I think one more session should have them pretty much done, and then I can seal them, which can hopefully tamp down their grass tufts. The good news is, good news slash bad news. Oh, actually something else. I have fully come around to speed paints. This is definitely a little more saturated because of the lens, but this is entirely speed painted. And it's turning out pretty good. And like this one too. Also, these are both entirely speed painted. Are using the speed paints. And again, they're really oversaturated because of what I had to do for the camera. They are not this saturated, but they're at least giving me really good basis to work out. Like this guy, his skull actually looks really cool. I'm pretty happy with this so far. I can't wait to go back over it some more and clean it up, because these are just kind of blocking out the colors so I can see what it's all going to look like. And so far, I gotta say, it all looks pretty darn good. This model makes me happy. I like this model. I can't wait to paint this model. I'm gonna do little airbrushy, like glowy bits where the red is supposed to be. Try and make this look really cool. So yeah, that's the other thing that I've been working on. But yeah, what was I just thinking? My partner is going to DC, Washington DC, for a con this weekend called Awesome Con, which is a big old con that I wish I could go to, but financially it makes more sense for me to stay. Nice Ultron. Are you painting the inside of his face red? I'm a try. I'm basing it off of the box art for the Marvel Crisis Protocol games, but I'm gonna try and put my little flourishes here and there. The client only asked for tabletop ready. They're not super worried about it being like beautiful, because this is more so that they can play with these models with their son. So I'm not trying to get these things up to look, like competitions, but I do still want them to look nice. But yeah, QB is going to a convention this weekend called Awesome Con, and this is gonna suck because it's gonna be the first time I'm not going with her. I have normally gone with QB to this thing every year, actually, that we've done it. This will be, I think, the third year. So it sucks that I can't go, but economically it makes more sense for me to stay. So I'm gonna be here Thursday through Sunday, which means I should have more chances to stream. So hopefully I will be able to stream on Thursday and stream again potentially another day. I don't know. This might be a stream-rich week for me. But yeah, that way you guys can keep me company. But my hopes is that she has a really, really good convention. Awesome Con has normally been pretty good for us, and she's got a bunch of cool new stuff to show off, so hopefully he ends up having a very good one. There is so much crap. Okay.
That explains a lot. There was a whole bunch of paint in the ferrule of this brush, and it's already kind of on the way out. So hopefully me knocking that paint out will help it hold point better before it dies. Yeah, I'm looking forward to being able to stream more. I don't have a whole lot else planned. I might... Yeah, I gave it back more than I thought it would. I might hang out with some friends. I don't know. See if that happens. Who knows? They should. The only unfortunate part... Oh, no, I take that back. What's happening this year is instead of staying at a hotel, which would have cost us a lot of money, they have a friend, another artist friend up there who doesn't live very far away and is also tabling at the con. So they are going to stay at their place and save a ton of money, and then that person's going to drive them up, and they're going to take the metro and save even more money. So yeah, it looks like this is going to be the cheapest excursion to DC that we've had in a while. So hopefully that will translate over to more profits. That's the hope. That's the plan. But yeah, and yeah, that's why it kind of stinks that I can't go, because it would have been having a second set of hands to help carry her stuff would have been nice. But you know, it happens. So I'm cleaning up the brushes and trying to restore them to as much of a point as I can. But yeah, I'm gonna go ahead and hop off, and I'm gonna go ahead and do a tiny little raid because why not? Let's see who's online. It looks like Joe Cat is online and the Dungeon Lounge is online. Let's see. What is the Dungeon Lounge like? Looks like there's... Oh, they're mini painting. So that actually works perfectly. So yeah, we're gonna head over to the Dungeon Lounge. /raid the Dungeon Lounge. Got that right? Okay. Ooh. Okay, fantastic. Okay, thank you for being here, guys. I do appreciate it. I will probably see you again on Thursday. That'd be great. And hopefully by then I can get a lot of this done, and then I can get back to working on some of my own stuff. Thank you for being here, and I will see you later. Bye-bye.